Summer's ended, school has started, fall is among us, and winter is coming. 2025 has been dreadful for what we know, and there's only been 2 or 3 games, well, we can say 3 or 4 games that have actually released this year, although this year was actually meant to be the golden age. With that being said, this year actually isn't done yet, and as it is coming to a close really fast, there are still some games that are actually meant to be coming out before the end of 2025, and that's what this video is. Upcoming games that are going to release before the end of 2025, and all of these say they are going to release in 2025, which is why they're on the list. But at the same time, we do know from pattern recognition that even though these games are said to be releasing by the developers, it is possible that they don't end up coming out, and let's honestly hope this is the last time we ever have to make a video along these lines. There's no more top 10 upcomings after this video. It should only be we are playing this game today. So without further ado, let's find out the top 10 upcoming games that are meant to be releasing before the end of 25. And before we actually get into the main list, let's start off with the honorable mention. Synborn. Now, we have talked about Synborn before in older videos, and Synborn is looking kind of good. It does give me a Deep Woken vibe, however, it's way more nitty gritty, it's way more dark. There isn't actually much information on Synborn. The game doesn't even have a Discord server, but we've gotten multiple teasers and trailers over the past 2 years, and in the most recent trailer, the game does say Synborn 2025. However, there's no links to any Discord servers, it's only a link to the game page. Synborn does actually look really good, but because of the lack of information and coverage on this game in general, it's going to be an honorable mention, because with how untransparent the developers are and the fact that there's not even a Discord server to at least stay up to date, it is very possible that they escape from that 2025 claim, because there's nowhere to even follow up with the developers on anything that's Synborn related. Next in the honorable mentions, we actually have 4 Blues. Now, 4 Blues is a One Piece game, and the reason why it's an honorable mentions is honestly because it's going to be a CC game. And don't worry, yes, it's going to start off as a CC game, but the game will be coming out free to play to the public at some point in the future. But simply because this game is CC, we're keeping it an honorable mention. Now, 4 Blues' CC stage is actually about to start. They announced that they're going through the selection process of the first wave of CC testers, the first era. And 4 Blues, as I've covered on this channel before, is actually looking really good. We do know the base combat system is actually really good looking. The haki system and the combat in general has a lot of potential. There's a lot of combos you could pull off. There's a lot of mechanics that you have to string together, or combos you got to string together. The game's combat mechanics is genuinely really interesting, and the game looks good. However, we haven't actually seen any fruit showcases. We don't know how any of the fruits are going to work or operate, and we actually haven't seen anything from progression and PvE, which is where 4 Blues has a big question mark. So other than its genuinely interesting combat system, there's not actually too much information available on 4 Blues. However, by the end of this month and the start of next month, 4 Blues' CC phase is officially going to start, and you'll probably start seeing more content out there for the game in the month of October overall. And the next time you guys see a 4 Blues video from me, I will actually be giving away free tester slots, first era slots, so you guys can participate in the 4 Blues CC phase. However, that's not this video, that's coming in the next one, so put your post notifications on if you actually want to have a chance of being able to hop inside 4 Blues. And the last honorable mention on this list is Tokyo Re. Now, a lot of you guys know I've been looking forward to Tokyo Re for years now actually, and Tokyo Re will enter its CC phase sometime this year. Now, if you don't know, Tokyo Re is a Tokyo Ghoul inspired game, and I've covered the game on multiple occasions on this channel. The game actually looks amazing. First of all, we genuinely have been in need of a good Tokyo Ghoul inspired game on this platform. For some reason, we just never get them, and when we do, well, I won't say anything about that. And Tokyo Re actually looks really interesting. There's a lot of gameplay features and gameplay mechanics that I'm actually looking forward to actually hopping in game and trying out for myself. And the game's combat system is genuinely interesting, stringing together combos and using different abilities, and there's a lot of other features that I've actually experienced or seen that I'm not allowed to speak about that are actually very interesting. So hopefully Tokyo Re is on you guys' radar. You should definitely keep an eye out for this one. This is some high quality stuff. Quick intermission before we actually get into the top 10 list. Now, again, all these games have said to be coming out in 2025, but you know, developers do like to delay or postpone or say we have to and things of that nature. And if we're being honest, there's actually meant to be a lot more than 10 games coming out by the end of this year. However, I could only fit 10 games on this list, so I just put 10 games on this list, honestly. So without further ado, let's get straight into the list. Coming in at number 10, we actually have Grand Alfheim. Now, you guys do know Grand Alfheim has gone through a very intensive game update, and the game is looking way better than it was this time a year ago. And I can't lie, it's lovely to see developers actually take their time and genuinely improve the game, because if Grand Alfheim released the way it was last year, nobody would like the game. It's genuinely good to see that they've genuinely put time into improving the game. If I say genuinely one more time, I give you permission to slap me. Grand Alfheim is a Sword Art Online inspired game, and now I may not be the most happy with the arc that this game is taking place in, with the fairies and the flying around. I feel like it takes the SAO out of the SAO. However, from the most recent sneaks I have seen, the game genuinely looks really nice. Oh gosh, I just said genuinely again. Let's move on. Next on the list, we have Dimension X. Now, we actually haven't seen much from Dimension X in quite a long time, since 2024 if you want to be quite honest. However, the game was meant to release in 2024, but it obviously got pushed back, and it should be releasing in 2025. Now, it's really hard to say what type of game Dimension X is really going to be, but it is said to be an RPG experience, a multi-anime RPG experience. From what we have seen from characters like Enel, there's even going to be characters from Adventure Time, the Ice King, and we've seen some Finn gameplay as well. Dimension X actually is a very interesting concept to me, and I genuinely can't wait to see what this game actually plays like, feels like, and is in its entirety. Is it just another game where we're gonna have to hop into a sandbox-like experience and beat up mobs until the end of the round and fight a boss? Or is it much more complex than that? Because we do know there's going to be loot boxes of some sort in this game that are used for whatever reason. I really can't get my mind behind what this game actually is. So genuinely cannot wait to hop in. Next we have Beyond Nen, and Beyond Nen was actually meant to release this summer. However, for some unknown reason that Decay hasn't actually shared publicly, Decay being the owner of Beyond Nen has been obviously pushed back. Now, Beyond Nen is a Hunter x Hunter game, and God knows we do need some Hunter x Hunter games on this platform because there are none and there never really are any. And from what we've seen of Beyond Nen, it actually does look to be quite a decent Hunter x Hunter game. Now, ever since the Beyond Nen movie, the developers of Beyond Nen have been very, and I mean very silent. There's not been any significant sneaks, showcases, or announcements regarding Beyond Nen. Other than that, the game is still meant to release at some point in 2025. Do I believe it? I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Next up, we have Annie Force. Now, Annie Force is actually meant to be a hero shooter, and it plays and takes inspiration from games like Marvel Rivals and Overwatch. Now, from what I have seen of Annie Force, I am pretty interested. Not because I like Marvel Rivals, I prefer Overwatch 2. However, this is going to be the first Roblox anime Marvel Rivals game, or Marvel Rivals inspired game on the platform, period. And this being pulled off properly could actually do numbers. From the sneaks we have seen, the game does actually look pretty interesting. However, we're going to need to see and play the game at some point this year because the game is meant to come out this year. But as the months are closing in, we haven't actually gotten any significant showcases or trailers or anything of the sort yet. So although the developers aren't radio silent, there's just not much about the game out to the public right now. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. but overall Anti-Force does look like a very good game, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing it. Next we have Pantera. Now Pantera is meant to come out in 2025, as shocking as it is to believe, mainly because the last announcement they put in their Discord server was in January of 2025, and we haven't got a sneak peek from Pantera since February of 2025, so it can be a little hard to believe that we're actually going to still receive this game at all. However, rest assured, the developers have said 2025 is the mindset that they want to release this game in. If you don't know, Pantera is a Bleach inspired Roblox anime game, and although we've had a lot of Bleach games over the past couple of years, this one actually looks pretty nice with its visuals and its effects. We've seen the combat, and the combat actually looks pretty good as well, but we're going to actually need to play and see a lot more from the game before we're actually able to come to any sort of foundation on how good or not good this game actually really is. Next up on the list we have Hinokami. Now Hinokami actually recently put out a dev showcase that's updated the community on what the developers have been doing over the past couple of months, the improvements they've made, and a lot of the changes they've made to the game overall within that time frame. And I must say, it was a very impressive video. However, before that video came out, it was almost complete radio silence from the Hinokami developers. And genuinely, I'm not mad at that, because the dev showcase actually showcased that the developers not only know what they're doing, but have a clear and concise vision for the game, and that's something you don't see often in the Roblox scene at all. And the improvements made to the game overall, from the NPCs to the combat system and combat functionality in general, all look beautiful. Now, if you don't know, Hinokami is a Demon Slayer inspired game that's been in development for quite a while now, and is definitely a game everybody should have on their radar. Now, the developers did say they kind of want the game to release in 2025, but they also did say they're not going to put any release dates on it because they don't want to have to rush or feel pressured to deliver within a time frame. But they did say ideally 2025 would be nice, which kind of leaves things up in the air. This could possibly mean if the game needs to or has to get pushed back to 2026 in order to, you know, make the game better, it will most likely be done without a second thought, which actually isn't a terrible thing in general, but with how bad this year has been, let's keep it in 2025. Next up on the list, we actually have VV, and very similar to Hinokami, they actually just put out a dev showcase or a game showcase along the same natures, where they're explaining where they've been, what they've been doing over the past couple of months. They even showcase Stark and Flower's abilities, and with that provided along some PvP gameplay along with that. And in that vlog, they also stated that they want this game to release, or ideally they plan for this game to release sometime by the end of the year 2025, most likely December. And honestly, I'm here for it. VV, as you guys do know, is a Bleach inspired game. I know, another Bleach inspired game. However, I've actually had my eyes on VV for a couple of years now. There's a lot of gameplay mechanics and functionalities that actually drew my attention to this game, and ever since I saw that, I've really kept tabs on this game, and I've heard a lot of good things about this game from the testers as well. Coming in at number 3, we actually have Project Slayers 2, and Project Slayers 2 is probably one of the fan favorites in terms of Demon Slayer games, because we do know how big Project Slayers community was, and honestly still is. Project Slayers, the original Project Slayers, hasn't been updated in what, 2 years? And still averages between 1,000 to 2,000 concurrent players on average, which is very impressive. Project Slayers 2 is meant to be releasing in 2025, confirmed by the owner himself, and we actually have seen some things from Project Slayers 2 in terms of combats and breathing styles in general, but we actually haven't seen anything in terms of the game's progression. We don't know what new progression functionalities the game's gonna have. We haven't seen much on the PvE sides as well, and we just don't know anything other than PvP. But that doesn't really change anything. Everybody's looking forward to Project Slayers 2. I genuinely don't know a soul that's not going to be playing this game once it releases. So next up we have Holy War X. Now Holy War X is something we've been waiting for the longest time. And if you don't know, Holy War X is a 7 Deadly Sins inspired game, and yes, as everything else on this list, is set to come out sometime in 2025. Now I heard some inside sources that's gonna be more along the lines of towards the end of the year than, you know, sooner. But 2025 is 2025. And if you don't know, Holy War X is massive. There looks like there's going to be so much content. From the last Holy War X movie, you can most definitely see that they've taken their time. There's so many sections and depth to this game, and I cannot wait to actually play it. The only question I have for the Holy War X developers is, when is testing actually going to start? There's not been any announcement on testing at all. And last but not least, we actually have the game that is meant, or we actually have the game that was meant to start and usher in the new age of Roblox, the golden age of Roblox, Rell. Now, Rell has gone through some hiccup with the whole Roblox issue and things of that nature. Rell was actually meant to be delayed in 2025. However, the developers came back out and said, with the new Roblox features actually being pushed out, Rell is on course to be coming out in 2025 again. And if you don't know, Rell is a One Piece inspired game that actually looks to be amazing. This is going to be the first One Piece game with actual gameplay, with actual depth to its gameplay mechanics and gameplay features. Rell is amazing, and I suggest you brush up on your knowledge of Rell. Now, from what we do know, Rell is meant to have a CC phase before it goes into the public release phase, and the CC phase is meant to start at some point in October. We don't know if the delays that happen with the Roblox features is going to push back the CC phase starts, because the developers actually haven't shared anything along those lines. But originally it was meant to happen in that October time frame, so all we can do is assume it'll probably start either mid or end of October, if not early November. I think that's pushing it, but we're actually just gonna have to wait and see. And honestly, that's all. Those are the 10 games that are meant to be releasing before the end of 2025, and we also do have the honorable mentions that will also be releasing before the end of 2025 as well. Tell me what you guys think. Is this just another situation where all the games on this list end up getting pushed back to 2026, which is a possibility? You guys know how Roblox developers are. Even with all the information they give us and tell us and whatever they say a game's gonna release, it's most likely going to get pushed back for whatever reason. However, I do feel like 2025 is a little bit different. There's so many factors that push towards these games actually releasing, and if any of these games actually do get delayed, it's honestly GG's, because guess what's happening in 2026? GTA 6. So it's a race against time. Is GTA 6 gonna actually affect any game on Roblox? I highly doubt that, but at the same time it is a possibility, because GTA 6 is the biggest game to ever release ever in gaming. There's no game bigger than GTA 6 is meant to be. Anyways, that's it from me. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and peace.